She thought she was invisible, just another hotel maid cleaning rooms in silence. But one ordinary shift turned into a moment that would change her life forever. A single phone call, spoken in a language no one expected her to know, suddenly exposed a truth that couldn't be ignored. Within minutes, she found herself standing in front of power, prejudice, and a test of dignity she never saw coming. What happened in that hallway didn't just reveal who she was, it revealed something much darker about the world around her. For years, she lived in the background of luxury. Her name was Mariah, a quiet hotel maid who knew every corner of the grand five-star hotel but was rarely noticed by the guests she served. Day after day, she polished silver trays, fluffed pillows, and carried linens through endless hallways. Her world measured by the whispers of conversations that weren't meant for her. To the wealthy visitors who checked in, she was invisible, just another uniform passing by. Yet behind her calm eyes was a story most would never imagine. She had grown up in a small immigrant household, taught by her mother to work twice as hard, speak with respect, and never draw attention. That silence became her shield in a world that too often judged her for the color of her skin. Still, Mariah carried dreams. At night, she studied languages, fascinated by the idea that words could connect people across borders. It was a secret part of her life, hidden beneath the weight of her long shifts and the constant reminder that, in this hotel, she was only expected to clean and obey. She had no reason to believe this day would be different, but one unexpected phone call, a voice in a language few understood, would pierce through her invisibility and place her directly in the spotlight she had avoided her whole life. The call came in the middle of her shift. A phone in one of the suites had been left ringing, and Mariah, passing by with her cart of supplies, picked it up instinctively. On the other end was a frantic guest speaking Dutch, words tumbling out quickly, heavy with urgency. Without hesitation, Mariah responded. Her voice, calm and fluent, carried across the line. She gave directions, reassured the caller, and resolved the confusion with the ease of someone who had spoken the language her whole life. When she hung up, the hallway was silent. Too silent. She turned to see a man standing at the doorway of the suite. Tall, sharply dressed, with the polished air of money. A millionaire guest, one of the hotel's most powerful regulars. His eyes narrowed, not with admiration, but suspicion. "What did you just say?" His voice cut through the quiet. Mariah froze. She knew that look. The disbelief that someone like her could possibly carry knowledge beyond the duties of her uniform. He didn't see her skill. He saw an offense. Within minutes, whispers began. Staff glancing, managers pulling her aside, the weight of accusation settling on her shoulders. Some claimed she had been pretending, others that she must have overheard something she wasn't supposed to. The simple act of speaking another language had turned her from invisible to threatening. Instead of being praised, she was summoned. The guest demanded to see her. "I want her in my room," he insisted. The request was less curiosity and more command, dripping with the kind of entitlement that comes from a lifetime of unchecked privilege. Mariah's hands trembled as she followed a supervisor into the luxury suite. The golden light of chandeliers reflected off marble floors, but she felt none of its warmth. The millionaire studied her like an object, something to be questioned, dissected, doubted. He peppered her with phrases in Dutch, watching with cold satisfaction as she translated them flawlessly. And still, he didn't smile. Instead, he leaned back, his expression darkening. "How does a maid know this?" he asked, as if her ability was an insult. Mariah's chest tightened. She thought of the years she had spent studying late into the night, the sacrifices her family had made, the dreams she carried in secret. None of it mattered here. To him, her intelligence was not a gift, but a problem. And then came the threat, subtle but heavy. He questioned whether she had been eavesdropping on private business calls. He hinted at security concerns. Around him, managers nodded, their loyalty tilted toward money rather than truth. In that moment, her entire job, her stability, even her dignity hung in the balance. What began as a simple phone call had spiraled into a trial. Mariah stood there, surrounded by wealth and power, knowing that one wrong word could cost her everything. The room was thick with silence, the kind that comes before something breaks. And when the millionaire finally leaned forward, lowering his voice to deliver his verdict, Mariah's world shifted forever. The room felt colder now, though the chandelier still blazed above her. Mariah's hands clenched at her sides as the millionaire's words sliced through the air. "She's a risk," he said flatly. "Someone like her doesn't just know things, she must be hiding something." The managers didn't argue. Their silence was agreement. And in that silence, her years of invisible labor, every bed made, every tray polished, every smile forced through exhaustion, crumbled beneath the weight of suspicion. She tried to explain. She told them about her late nights studying, about her love for languages, about the books she carried home from the library. But her words landed against a wall of doubt. They didn't see effort. They saw threat. They didn't hear pride. They heard danger. The millionaire leaned closer, his voice sharp and deliberate. "In a place like this, people should know their place." The sentence struck her harder than any insult ever had. Her place. The unspoken truth hung in the air. Her skin, her uniform, her silence, that was all the world wanted from her. Not her intelligence, not her ambition, not her humanity. Her chest burned as shame and anger collided inside her. She wanted to shout, to demand they see her for who she was. But in that moment, surrounded by power and prejudice, she realized her voice was the only thing they couldn't take. And so she stood there, not backing down, refusing to let her silence become consent. The air between them crackled, heavy with a decision that would define her future. Would they strip her of everything she had worked for? Or would this be the moment she finally broke free from the shadows? The meeting ended not with justice, but with dismissal. Mariah was quietly removed from the schedule, her conduct under review. No wrongdoing proven, no crime committed, only suspicion, dressed in the language of professionalism. She walked out of that luxury hotel the same way she had entered it every day, unnoticed. But this time, the invisibility burned. For days, she replayed the moment in her mind, the phone call, the eyes narrowing, the accusation that her knowledge was a threat. And beneath it all, the sting of those words, "Know your place." It was never about language. It was about control, about how society too often decides who is allowed to be brilliant, who is allowed to rise, and who must remain in silence. Mariah's story is not rare. Across the world, countless workers of color are judged not for their abilities, but for the assumptions made about their skin, their accents, their uniforms. They are told, in ways both subtle and cruel, that they should stay in the background, that ambition is not theirs to claim. But every time someone like Mariah refuses to shrink, refuses to accept invisibility, a crack forms in that wall of prejudice. Her voice, though dismissed in that hotel, still carries. Her story forces us to ask, how many more dreams must be silenced before we admit the truth? Because racism doesn't always come with slurs or violence. Sometimes it comes with a smile, a suit, and the quiet decision that someone doesn't belong. And so the question remains, how many more Mariahs must be broken before the world finally listens to see and to believe?